Perceive, process, perform. Do you need inspiration for your practice, or do you simply need to practice inspiration? With this series, we aim to do both. Give us 15 minutes and we'll give you practice inspiration.
Hi, I'm Marc Fowler, President of Bullseye Media, and this is your practice inspiration for today. If your market is like most that we've analyzed across the US and Canada, there's no shortage of dental practices in your area. So with all of those choices available to them, why would a patient choose you? What's unique about your practice? You've seen the ads and the postcards, spa-like environment, military discounts, senior discounts, children's play area, dentures, orthodontics, trying to be all things to all people. And that is a recipe for marketing failure. That generic Me Too message just gets lost in the noise. And the result is often a commoditization of dental services. When patients can't tell the difference from one practice to another, they're often left with nothing more than choosing based on price. And when that happens, you can see this in a quick Google search that when practices don't have a differentiating feature to focus on, they resort to leading with price. And that happens in general dentistry. It happens in dental implants as well as other services. And a quick Google Images search for dental postcards shows that the same thing is happening offline, both for general dentistry as well as dental implants. So how do you avoid being seen as a commodity and feeling pressure to compete based on price? One effective way to do this is to select a focused target audience or a niche. And that can be a service that isn't actively marketed in your area, or it could be a unique distinction about your practice. For example, you may be the most convenient practice in town. Evening hours, open Saturdays, family blocks of appointments, easy online scheduling, and all of this would appeal to busy working moms. So that could be your target audience. There was a popular business book a while back called Blue Ocean Strategy. And the premise of this book is that businesses can succeed by creating blue oceans of uncontested market space, as opposed to doing battle in the red oceans where competitors fight for dominance. And the analogy being that an ocean full of vicious competition turns red with blood. So you want to find that blue ocean, that less competitive space within your market. In North Texas, where I'm from, in the summer, we will have several weeks of near 100-degree temperatures and very little, if any, rain. And these cracks start to form in the soil. And these cracks may not be very wide. They may be very, very small, yet when you stick something down in them, they seemingly go on forever. And as you're thinking about a niche and your target audience, think about that image. You want to think an inch wide and a mile deep. A favorable niche is an inch wide because it's a very focused, targeted, defined audience. And it's a mile deep because there are a lot of people that meet that criteria and are looking for a solution to that particular problem. Also, as you're considering a niche, you want to ask yourself a few questions. Number one, is it enjoyable? Do I and my team enjoy providing that service to that type of patient? Next, is it valuable? Does it have a high actual and perceived value to patients? And finally, is it profitable? Does it make financial sense for us to focus in on this particular segment? Then once you've identified your niche, the next step is to clearly define your ideal patient within that niche. And you really want to think through this and go beyond simply age and gender. Maybe brainstorm with your team and try to really understand who that ideal patient is. What makes them tick? How do they think and act? What language do they use and respond to? What are their fears, frustrations, motivations, etc.? Then once you have a very clear picture of them, you can now craft your message in a way that speaks to them. You want to speak their language. And professional copywriters call this joining the conversation that's going on in the prospect's mind. Everyone has an internal conversation going on at all times. And that conversation is going to be very different for a recent retiree than it is an expectant mother. And what might be an emotional hot button for one falls on deaf ears for the other. When that patient, that ideal patient, comes to your website, sees your ad, receives your postcard, you want them to immediately be thinking, that's me. That's exactly what I was thinking. This is what I was looking for. And when that happens, they're going to be much more receptive to your message and to your desired action. And as a result, this type of focused marketing is going to be much more effective than the broad, catch-all, all things to all people message. And therefore, it's not only going to be more effective, but it's also going to be less expensive. As an example, if you had to send out 1,000 of the typical dental postcard, the friendly dentist for the whole family with the smiling actors on it, you may have to send 1,000 of those out in order to attract 10 new patients. However, if you've identified a viable niche, clearly defined that target audience, written up a messaging that's going to speak their language, and because you know who they are, you're able to buy a targeted list, you may only have to send out 300 postcards to get those 10 new patients in. Same number of new patients, probably more revenue because they're going to be a better patient for your practice, and cost a lot less. That same concept plays out online as well. If you're running ads on Google AdWords, for example, that's an auction-based platform. So the more practice is bidding on a keyword term, the more expensive those clicks are going to be, pay per click. And some keywords, such as dental implants, in competitive markets, can run in excess of $20 for a single click. However, if you've identified a blue ocean niche, you're going to pay a fraction of that. Another tip with regard to your advertising, if you're running a specific campaign, let's say TMJ for example, and someone clicks on your TMJ ad, you do not want to send them to your practice homepage. Because when they clicked on that ad about TMJ, they expect to land somewhere that's talking about TMJ. And if they land on your homepage and they see general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, restorative dentistry, dental implants, they may not know where to start looking. And as we all know, everyone's impatient online. So they're very likely to hit the back button and move on. And you've just wasted the cost of that click. What you want to do instead is send them to a page like this. As soon as they land, they know they're in the right place. They see the image and think, that's exactly where my pain is. They start reading and it says jaw pain negatively impacting your life. Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, it's definitely doing that. Same with denture repair. Let's say you're running a denture repair ad. You want to let them know, number one, they're in the right place. Then they see the image and they may be thinking, that looks like what happened to my denture. Also, you want to anticipate the questions that they're going to be asking. In this case, if someone's considering turning over their denture for repair, they're probably wondering, how long am I going to be without my denture? Because that's a major hassle. So address that right up front. You notice this page, the first paragraph, in-house lab, most repairs done while you wait. So anticipate and answer those questions right up front. Don't make them hunt and search for the answers. As you've identified your niche, your goal should be to become the recognized go-to expert in your market within that niche. And that may require a rebranding of your practice. In some instances, depending on the niche you've chosen, you may want to consider a separate website solely dedicated to that particular niche. And here's why. Imagine you're in the middle of a complicated real estate transaction and you're becoming frustrated and confused and you realize, I need legal assistance. I need someone to help me through this process. And you are either referred to an attorney or you find them through a Google search or you click on an ad and you land on their website and you see real estate law and you're thinking, okay, good. But then you also see criminal defense, wrongful death, employment law, estate planning, child custody. And you may be thinking, whether consciously or subconsciously, how can they possibly have expertise in all of these areas? They're so unrelated. And the same goes for a patient. Put yourself in the shoes of a dental patient. If they're looking for a solution to, say, treatment for sleep apnea, and they come to a page like this and they see the laundry list of services, root canals, crowns, bridges, dentures, dental implants, sleep apnea. They may assume the same thing as that attorney example. How can they possibly be good at all these? It's easy for someone to make the connection between root canals and crowns, much more difficult to connect root canals and sleep apnea treatment. Now, compare that experience with this. Before they even land on the website, they're seeing that website address, allensleepcenter.com. First thing they see when they land, snoring affecting your relationships? Actually, it is. Then, tired even after a full night's sleep? Yes, that's exactly how I feel. Meanwhile, this video is playing in the background that speaks to both the snorer and the snoree, and they're now thinking, wow, they really get me. They understand exactly what I'm experiencing. And they may very well assume they must be experts in this sleep apnea thing. And if you think about it, experts are sought out. Experts aren't shopped on price. An expert is, if that patient perceives you to be the expert, the solution to their problem, they're no longer thinking, I wonder how much it is. I wonder if they'll cut me a deal. They're quite possibly thinking, I hope they aren't too busy to fit me in. It changes the whole perception in that patient's mind of your practice. So before I summarize, I want to clarify one thing. When I say focus on a very narrow niche audience, what I am not saying is once they're in your chair, you still don't educate them on all the other services they may need. What I am saying is for your new patient acquisition strategy, your advertising, your marketing campaigns, you want to be very focused in order for it to be as effective as possible. So to summarize, first step, select a niche. Remember, an inch wide and a mile deep. Remember to look for blue ocean opportunities and ask yourself, is it enjoyable, is it valuable, and is it profitable? Once you've done that, identify and define the ideal patient, what makes them tick. Then you're able to craft your message in a way that speaks their language. You want to get them nodding their head, thinking, that's me. And then position yourself as the go-to expert. And that may require a new website, some video, could be patient testimonials about that particular service, in-office posters, brochures, whatever it takes to position yourself as the go-to expert. And if you implement this strategy, your advertising budget will go further and you'll see a dramatic increase in your return on investment.